It started with rain, but it ended with a mystery. Officially, 44 people died in the floods around Beijing this July. Unofficially, one village alone says over 300 are missing. And here's the real puzzle. Beijing sits at the center of one of the most advanced water control systems in Asia. So how did it fail so badly and so quietly? Residents say they got no warning before the dams released water. No texts, no sirens, no alerts. By the time the river rose, it was already too late. So we have to ask, was this a natural disaster or a systemic one? Let's investigate what happens when extreme weather meets extreme opacity. On July 28th, China's official media announced that 44 people had died from flooding in the Beijing area. But here's the problem. Residents in just one village told reporters that 4 people were swept away and over 300 more were unaccounted for. That's one village. So, if the official toll is 44, but one village alone reports hundreds missing, what's the real story? And perhaps more importantly, how did the modern capital city, surrounded by one of the largest water control networks in Asia, still end up overwhelmed by rain? Welcome to China Decoded. I'm Aric Chen. Let's break this down and examine not just the flood, but the fragile system behind it. It began on July 26. Rain clouds settled over Beijing and didn't leave for 3 straight days. Mountain districts like Miyun, Huairou, and Pinggu were hardest hit. In some areas, rainfall totals reached 540 millimeters, and that's more than 21 inches in just 48 hours. By comparison, that's more rain than London receives in 4 months. Local residents described it as the worst rainfall in living memory. One villager said, "Even the 90-year-olds have never seen rain like this." Flash floods followed, rivers swelled, roads buckled, and then, without warning, the reservoirs began releasing water. At least 9 reservoirs in Beijing region discharged floodwaters on July 27th. That decision, whether necessary or not, had consequences. Entire villages downstream were submerged. People were forced to flee in the middle of the night, jumping out of windows, climbing onto rooftops, desperately trying to call for help, with no electricity, no phones, and no time. So here's a critical question. Why didn't anyone warn them? In most countries, dam discharges come with an alert. Text messages, sirens, local broadcasts. People get time, even just a few hours, to evacuate. But in Beijing's surrounding villages, residents say they received no such notice. One villager in Huairou district said bluntly, "Nobody told us. We just saw the water coming. People were running, screaming, trying to carry children and the elders." By the time official media acknowledged the disaster, many were already dead or missing. And here's the official number. 44 fatalities across all of Beijing, but one village alone reported 300 plus people accounted for. So, what's missing here? The warnings, the transparency, and maybe the accountability. To understand why this happened, we need to zoom out. China has one of the largest engineered water management systems in the world. From the 3 gorges dam to the sprawling networks of canals, spillways, and reservoirs. The system is massive, but there's something important to understand. Much of China's flood control design follows the retain first, release late logic. That means reservoirs are built to hold water, not rapidly release it. Discharges often come only when danger of dam failure is near, and the warnings may be delayed or politically featured to avoid panic or liability. This wasn't the first time such a pattern played out. Let's look at the 2021 Zhengzhou subway disaster. That year, record rains flooded the Henan provincial capital. Water poured into a metro tunnel. Passengers drowned inside train cars. The initial death toll was listed as 12. Later, On the public pressure, officials revised it to 71. Why the delay? Because in China's governance model, disaster is not just a weather problem, it's a political risk. That means local leaders often err on the side of underreporting, downplaying, or saying nothing at all. And when warnings are delayed, people die. Let's ask a strategic question. What happens when the highly centralized system meets a rapidly changing climate? The answer: delay, denial, and in some cases, disaster. We've seen it in other contexts too. In 2020, Sichuan province faced a deadly mudslide after excessive rainfall. Flooding in urban lowlands overwhelmed drainage networks, which hadn't been updated for population growth. In Hebei, reservoirs discharges this July left multiple towns inaccessible, with bridges gone and entire herds of livestock drowned. Meanwhile, the people on the ground, villagers, farmers, elders, are left to rely on live streamers, WeChat videos, and word-of-mouth warnings. But they are not enough. Not when seconds can mean the difference between survival and tragedy. Let's compare. Japan, another country vulnerable to heavy rain and mountainous flash floods, operates a hyper-local early warning system. Municipalities have automated alarms, predefined evacuation drills, and even localized flood simulation maps. Germany, after the 2021 HR Valley flood, revamped its entire warning system, now requiring cross-regional coordination and real-time alerts. So, where's China? The technology exists, the infrastructure exists, but the political cost of raising alarms and being blamed later is often greater than the risk of doing nothing. So, local officials wait. Let's connect the dots one more time. A record-breaking storm hits Beijing. Reservoirs release water without warning. Whole villages are flooded. The death toll remains artificially low. The public's left in the dark, literally and figuratively. And we're left with a simple but urgent question. If China's disaster response system can't warn people in time, can it truly protect them? Because this wasn't just about rain. It was about a model of control that may no longer match the pace of modern risks. And as climate change accelerates, the mismatch will only grow. So here's the final takeaway. When extreme weather meets extreme opacity, the result isn't just a natural disaster, it's a governance crisis. That's all for today on China Decoded. Thanks for watching. Behind the slogans, beyond the surface. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell. See you in the next one.